Let us turn to the third step in the marketing plan, establishing strategic priorities. The business has limited resources, and the task of management is to channel these resources into those areas offering the best potential. Most businesses have a range of products and operate across a number of different markets or market segments. At this stage in the marketing plan, managers have to analyse and decide where the priorities should be, which products and markets should receive investments, and which should be divested from. This is generally called portfolio analysis. The original exposition of portfolio analysis came from Peter Drucker. Peter Drucker wrote that if you look inside any business, its products fall into 6 categories.
Tomorrow's breadwinners are the firm's new products which should be given the top priority by management. Next in order of priority are today's businesses, which provide the profits to finance these new products. Third are what he termed the in-between category.
Products which are performing poorly, but some of which can be turned around if drastic actions are taken to cut costs or reposition them. The next 3 are the real drags on performance, absorbing too much management attention and scarce resources.
Yesterday's businesses are those products which were once winners but are now obsolete. Finally, there are the also-rans, which never really fulfilled expectations, and the clear failures.
Drucker's message is true. Management can only justify prioritising the first 2 types of products, and perhaps a few of the third category. The others need to be phased out to make room for those products with more potential. This effort to separate the sheep from the goats, or the stars from the dogs, is always a crucial initial step in revitalising a business. Perhaps the most widely used portfolio technique today is the McKinsey matrix.
It allows management to explore its product and market portfolio along 2 dimensions: business position or relative business strength, and market attractiveness, both of which can be strong, medium or weak. Products can then be rated along these dimensions and positioned in the diagram. The idea is the common sense one that management should prioritise these products which are in attractive markets and where the business is relatively strong. It should withdraw resources from activities which are in unattractive markets and where the business is relatively weak. Once the strategic objective or priority is established, we come to the marketing strategy proper. Marketing strategy centres around 2 key issues: segmentation and positioning.
We're going to look at segmentation and positioning in some detail. In fact, these 2 topics will be the core of this programme because they lie at the very heart of developing a successful marketing strategy. The effectiveness of planning in these 2 areas determines whether the business will succeed in its markets. Let's first explore the segmentation issue, or the identification of the company's target market segments. The central point is this: whether you are working in industrial, consumer or service markets, it never pays to treat customers as a homogeneous group. There are 2 fundamental reasons for this. First, different types of customers have different needs. Second, different categories of customers have different price sensitivities. For example, a business executive is willing to pay more for a comfortable seat on a plane or a train than a student. A major customer expects to pay less for the printing supplies than a small one. Ford will pay less for the Michelin tyres it puts on its new cars than you and I will pay. Identifying and taking advantages of these differences between customer groups or segments is the key to profitable marketing today. Let me illustrate the basic idea of profitable segmentation with a very simple example.
An airline has a 300-seater airplane which it wants to achieve an average occupancy rate of around 80%. In order to be able to sell this target of 240 seats, the maximum price it could charge for a one-way ticket to America would be about £250. In this case, the airline would make a revenue of £60,000. Supposing the fixed and variable costs of flying to America are around £55,000, the airline would make a profit of £5,000.
However, what is fairly obvious is that business travellers would be willing to pay substantially more than tourists if they could get a better service. The result has been that airlines have moved to a differentiated strategy where they offer 3 levels of service.
Economy for the tourist segment, business class for middle managers, and first class for the really high earners. Pursuing this strategy, the airline might still have 60% of its seats charging the economy fare, but it would seek to balance this with 30% of its seats allocated to business class and 10% to first-class passengers paying much higher fares. Although the occupancy rate has remained the same, revenue would jump from £60,000 to £96,000, whereas there would only be a small increase in costs from the service enhancements. Profits would explode from £5,000 to £36,000, which is a 7-fold rise.
Another interesting example of segmentation is provided by the credit cards.
Initially, credit cards operated in a largely undifferentiated market. Then American Express introduced its Gold card with a membership fee of £100, double that of its standard Green card. Subsequently, it added a Platinum card with a £300 membership fee.
Amex substantially increased its profits by trading up its customers into higher margin products. While the premium cards offered certain extra services, the real thing customers were paying for was status and exclusivity. The list of examples can be extended almost indefinitely. Industrial chemicals, cars, pharmaceuticals, hotels, theatre tickets, restaurants and so on. In most markets, the price difference between that charged in the premium segment and that in the economy segment is 10 to 1. Isn't it surprising, for instance, to observe that some banks in many countries still offer the identical service or lack of service to their wealthy customers as to students or low-income individuals? It is absolutely crucial for management to look for new, creative ways of segmenting markets and adding value. This is how you increase profits and grow markets. Try this exercise. First, choose your top-selling product or service. Then, ask how you could segment its current market into 2 or more groups of customers whose needs might differ. What criteria should you use to segment your market? The basic criterion should be differences in needs among your customers. Second, once you have chosen a possible segmentation scheme, then ask how could we modify our product or service to make it more attractive to each separate group? Would we have products with different performance levels? Or would each segment receive a different level of support? Or would we get a faster service? Then, consider what price you could charge in each segment. Is there an opportunity to get a premium price? Here's a recent example of this type of strategy.
A bright marketing executive at Heathrow Airport was concerned about the profitability of the car parks. Like most airports, Heathrow has a large long-stay car park situated a short bus ride from the terminal. He discovered that 60% of the cars parked there were left by executives, the rest by tourists. Both groups were paying the same price and receiving the same service. His research showed that businessmen were not price sensitive, but were concerned with getting to and back from the terminal quickly. The answer was simple. The car park was split into 2. A tourist section was at the far end and an executive section at the near side, which offered a very frequent shuttle bus service. In return, executives using this paid 50% more a day.
Both segments were happy. The tourist price was held down and the businessman got better service. The profitability of the car park went up by an estimated 60%.